Setting up meeting. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Awesome. All right. Good evening. Hello, Quarantine Book Club. I thank everyone that is going to show up here. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Sometimes it takes a while. You have to scroll up and down onto the page to find the live stream. My name is Pamela, and I'm the founder of the Quarantine Book Club, and my co-admin is Susan Harper. And tonight we have Katherine St. who's going to talk about our December Read the Lion's Den. Amy and Nancy Harrington are working behind the scenes on the production side to give us your questions. And tonight's event is hosted by Amy and Nancy Harrington, sisters who founded the Passionistas Project to inspire women to follow their passions through their podcast and subscription box filled with products from women-owned businesses and female artisans. The Passionistas still have tickets available for their virtual event, I'm Speaking, this Sunday night. 6 women will tell stories of finding their authentic voices and speaking out for others, followed by a roundtable discussion to celebrate the inauguration of our nation's first female multiracial Vice President, Kamala Harris. The event takes place via Zoom on Sunday, January 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tickets start at $5 for students and professors and can be purchased at, I'm going to have them post that in the comment links. You can, if you're interested in attending, so Amy or Nancy, if you'll post that. So tonight, we have Katherine St. who is a native of Mississippi and a graduate of the University of Southern California, who spent over a decade in the film industry as an actress, screenwriter, and director before turning to penning novels. When she's not writing, she can be found hiking or on the beach with a good book. Katherine currently lives in Los Angeles with her husband and 2 daughters. So welcome, Katherine, to the Quarantine Book Club.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
People just loved your book. It was a great December read. It was,
I'm so glad.
So when did you start writing this book, The Lion's Den?
There it is. I started writing this book, oh Lord, when I have 2 young children, so I do everything by like how old they were. When my youngest daughter was 1, so that was 4 years ago. And I stayed home for a year. I had 2 daughters back to back. And so I stayed home for a year to like watch after them when they were really little. And I'd always wanted to write a novel, and I'd had the idea for The Lion's Den kicking around in my head for years. So I was like, this is my opportunity. If I'm going to do this, this is the time. So I call it the nap time novel because I wrote it while my 2 young daughters were napping.
That's awesome. You can get so much done during nap time.
You get one thing done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing that I got done was writing a book. I didn't cook, I didn't clean, I didn't wash my hair. I just wrote a book.
And that's amazing. I mean,
it's like having another baby.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And then, you know, when the book comes out, it's like a birth, you know?
Yep. So where did the idea for this book come from? Because it's pretty.
I've been living in Los Angeles. I went to USC and I stayed here afterwards, and working as an actress in the film industry. I saw a lot of wealth up close, whether it be from friends of mine who were actors who all of a sudden were on a big show, or from the rich guy some girl was dating, that kind of thing. And I was fascinated by money and what people will do for money and the things that it does to people, how different people can become when money is introduced into a situation. So I always found that really interesting. And I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to write about it. But then I took a trip to the Mediterranean many, many years ago. And seeing all of the yachts lined up in Saint-Tropez, seeing all the very, very wealthy people on parade, and you know, on and off of these yachts, and the type of wealth that most of us will never see up close and personal. And I thought, what a great way to write about wealth from the inside, but also from an outsider's point of view. And that's how, Belle come into this world. She's not a part of this world. She's an outsider, but she does get to see it from the inside.
Mm-hmm. Now we're already getting some questions. Hold on, people. Okay, so you'd already worked in Hollywood as a screenwriter. So did you have an agent?
No. Hollywood, and I do. Hollywood and the lit world are so separate. They're completely different worlds. And I do, I have a film agent and a lit agent now. But when I went about getting an agent as a writer, I went about it from, I got that book, The Guide to Agents. They do one every year. You can order it on Amazon.
Yep. Marketplace.
I'm sure we've all seen it.
Yep.
And I literally went through that book, and I went through all the agencies, and I went to their websites, and I like circled and I highlighted, and I made a spreadsheet of like all of the people that I thought would be right for me and for my book. And then, I went through the process of submitting. And I feel like I got so lucky, because that's how I met my agent, Sarah Bedingfield, at Living Greenberg Rastan. And she's absolutely amazing. And I think that we're a match made in heaven. So, but yeah, it was through blind submissions that I got an agent.
So how long did it take you after you started the querying process?
Well, after I finished writing the book, I had to go back to work at a job because, girl got to eat. So I would submit, I'd send like 5 out, I had like my tiers of like, first tier, second tier, third tier of who I thought would be right for the book. And so it wasn't a process of doing it every day. It was when I had time to do it. And I'm not sure how many I got through before I found Sarah. But I do know that I submitted to her on my birthday. I took the day off of work on my birthday, and I was like, I'm going to submit to agents today. This is the thing I want to do on my birthday, because I'm a writer, and damn it, that's what I really want to do. I don't want to work in this job anymore. So, and that was on my birthday that I found Sarah. But I definitely went through a lot of submissions before finding her. You get a lot of rejections, as an artist. I've experienced that both as an actor, as a writer. It's part of the game.
So it didn't sting when you started getting those rejections from?
I have developed a very thick skin. You have to, as an actor. And so I do not take it personally. I take mean comments personally. I try not to, but like every now and then somebody will say something, that's just mean hearted, and it'll hurt me in a way that I'm surprised by. But when it comes to like professional rejection or acceptance, I don't take personally, because I recognize that it's business and it's not personal.
Right, that's a good attitude. Okay, and then how long did it take for? Is your agent's name Sarah?
Yes, Sarah.
How long did it take for her to sell it to a publisher?
Well, she and I worked together to develop the draft that I had sent her. So we really did 1 or 2 like solid rounds of notes before we even submitted it to publishers. And that was, one of the things that I love about her is that she's an editorial agent. So she's really, and she has become my first line of defense. Like anytime I write something, she's the only person that I send it to. She's the only person that I allow inside my head. And I always say that one of the greatest things about her is she gives me the space to fail. And like, I feel totally comfortable failing in front of her. And I know that, and that allows you to do great things, because if you're afraid to fail, then you're not going to do great things, because you're not going to take risks. But when you have somebody there that will catch you and be like, that didn't work, but let's try this other thing. It really opens you up to be able to take risks. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent, and
No, I like that. And I wish you would talk to both of my children. It's so true. You have to be able to fail, and because that's how you learn. You learn.
Absolutely.
So what did you have planned for your book launch? Because you came out in the summer, right?
Yes, yes. Initially, my book was supposed to come out on Cinco de Mayo, and then it got pushed like 2 weeks till the end of May, and then it got pushed until June 30th. Because back at the beginning of the pandemic, we all thought that it was going to last like 3 weeks, you know? Like, I remember my husband was laughing the other day because he was going through his old like Instagram posts or whatever, and he had posted something like that was like, you know, to parents, like, don't give yourself a hard time, you know, if you can't handle it all, and like all this, like all these platitudes. And it was on March 18th that he posted that. It had been 3 days in quarantine. So we were all at the beginning, we just had no idea what we were getting into, you know. And so they pushed it hoping that, you know, we would be out of quarantine by that time, that the pandemic would be over. It was not.
No.
And I had like, I was going to get to do a book tour. I'm originally from Mississippi, and I was really excited. I was going to, my parents live in Oxford, where Square Books is, which is such a fun place. And I was going to get to do an event there, and at Lemuria, which is also in Mississippi, and get to see, you know, family and friends. I had a couple events planned in California, in Texas. So I was really looking forward to getting to do all of that and, you know, have a party. I love a party, but there was no party.
Was there going to be a party on a yacht?
Not yet. I don't have a yacht, unfortunately.
Well, ask your publishing house. Get me a yacht. I'm going to have a party.
I'm going to need a yacht.
Hey, all they can say is no, right?
Right.
Okay, we have a question from Marilyn. She wants to know, how many of those big yachts did you go on to be able to write about them?
I did go on a couple of big yachts. I did. I said that I went on a trip to the Mediterranean many years ago. And it was not nearly as exciting as the trip in the Lion's Den. But I did have the opportunity to see those yachts, and they come in all sizes, to big, bigger, and biggest, obviously. But I actually, with this particular yacht in the Lion's Den, I went through online, and I found the floor plan for the yacht that I wanted to use. And I kept that up on my screen anytime that I was writing, so that I could remember exactly, like, okay, this room leads to that room, because yachts are so compact, and even if they're big, you know, they're very well organized. So that was something that I always had like up in front of me, and I made sure, and I had like all kinds of like inspirational pictures, you know, just to jog my memory and help me really add in the details that make you feel like you're there.
I want to say I never got lost on the yacht. You did a really good job. I knew where everything was.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
And I could easily see me getting lost in there, but I didn't. It was very well directed. I knew.
Wonderful.
He was locked in her room. I was like, oh, you could just get across the hall, go.
Right. It's a crystal prison, you know. I mean, it's just beautiful. We all want to be floating around on a yacht, but when you're there with the wrong people, then it's not quite as fun as you think it's going to be.
No.
Any vacation you could say that for.
Yes. I'd rather be in a canoe with the right people than on a yacht with the wrong people.
I agree. So Susan, do you usually ask some regular questions?
I do. I usually ask, and we didn't warn you about this, but I usually ask the basic book club questions and then the old teacher questions. So when you were a kid in Mississippi, were you a reader? And if so, what did you read?
I've always been an avid reader. My mother is actually an English teacher. She was when I was younger. So I was, very much, my parents read to us the entire Lord of the Rings series and The Hobbit. As a child, I read like The Wind in the Willows, all the Roald Dahl books. Of course, and Nancy Drew I read as a kid, and there's some elements of Nancy Drew in what's going on with Belle, a little bit more modern. I read everything, and I went through a period where I was super into fantasy and like witches and stuff, which is really funny because my daughters are into that now. So yeah, I'm an avid reader. I've always been an avid reader, and I read all genres too. I don't, I don't stick to one. I'm not just a thriller person or a romance person or a literature or a classics person. I do all of them, and often in rotation.
What are you reading right now?
I'm actually in between books. I just finished my book of the month, which was The Wife Upstairs. And on my bedside table is The Two Lives of Lydia Bird.
Okay.
So I'll pick that up next.
So what is the genre that they gave The Lion's Den? Like where it,
it's women's upmarket fiction. I don't know, like I definitely bend genres because there are elements of thriller, of romance, of commercial, of literary, like it's kind of all in there. So I don't know like exactly what, I think contemporary fiction is the category that they put it in. But I definitely use a lot of different things in it.
Well, I just have to say I was working at a library when I got your book, because this is the ARC. And the ARC was presented very nice. I mean, it
was.
It was like a really nice ARC.
Yes,
like,
they did a great job with that. I love that ARC.
Yeah. Did you have input on that?
With the jacket design, yes. Is the way that the jacket came out, the actual picture on it was the first picture that they sent me. I told them what, the colors that I was thinking, the themes that I was thinking. I knew that I wanted it to be, I did not want it to be a photograph. I wanted it to be artwork. And that was the first one they sent me. They did send me others, but that first one really just jumped out at me and I loved it. And the same thing has happened with my second book, The Siren. The first cover that they sent me, I was like, yes, this is it. This is exactly what I wanted. It was just a matter of making sure we got the colors right. And then also the font. I'm really specific about font. And so we went through like millions of fonts to get the right font, but we did eventually figure it out.
You did. It's good.
I wanted it to kind of look like something that you might see on the back of a yacht, and that the way that the is kind of in cursive, and then the Lion's Den, it's got that kind of gold. You might see it on the back of a yacht, but I wanted the ends to be very sharp. Like I said, I'm very specific about fonts.
Yeah, now I'm noticing it. Those ends, like one end is very sharp.
Font is one of those things that you don't think about until you're given a choice. And then you realize, oh my, I don't like it. There's so many choices, and you want to pick the exact right one. Like with house paint colors, I'm painting my house right now, and we tried 14 different colors on the side of my house before we found one that we liked.
Yep.
Very difficult.
And there's like a ton of shades of white. You have no idea.
It's so true. It's so true.
Like, wow. All right. We have a couple more questions in here. Let's see. This one. Is from Denise. So is Belle based on yourself?
I think that every character that I write is somewhat based on myself. I mean, obviously Belle is a lot more based on me than Summer is. And, also because this was my first book, I think that I at least have a tendency as my first book to stick closer to home, to write what because when you're stepping into a new career and you're stepping into writing a book for the first time, it kind of gives you a crutch. So yes, Belle is definitely the closest to me of any of the characters on the yacht. And she's probably the closest to me of any of the characters that I have written thus far. Although we do have significant character differences. For example, I'm not tall.
I know that.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'5".
Oh, you are little.
I'm regular. I'm just
5'6". How tall are you, Pamela?
I am, well, I've shrunk. I used to be 6 feet. Now I'm 5'11" and a half.
You are tall.
Yeah. Yep.
She is.
I
think 5'5" is short. I think that's average.
That's probably average. Yeah. See, my best friend is 5 foot tall. So we were like the odd couple, and we've been friends since we were in junior high. And I'm like a foot taller than her.
I love that. I think that's so cute.
So Amy is saying that there's like construction sounds when I'm speaking. Do you all hear anything? Or
I'm not hearing you well at all. And I took my earbuds out because they died, so I don't know.
I hear you okay. I initially heard construction sounds, but I thought it was at my house because they were painting my house, but they're done now. So it's dark. So
Okay.
it's not over here and I'm not hearing it anymore. I did hear a little bit earlier, but I'm not hearing it now.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Because I was going to mute myself when I'm not talking. All right. Amy's like, yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. So tell us about your next book.
My next book is named The Siren, and it comes out on May 4th, and it is set on a Caribbean island where a film is being shot, and it's told from three different points of view, three very different women. Taylor, who is the producer of the film, who is really trying to get her career back after her last job ended in scandal. Stella, who is the star of the film, who is kind of like a Lindsay Lohan type character. She was very famous when she was younger and lost her career in the wake of multiple very public breakdowns. And she's trying to come back. She's 40 and she's a little bit of a Norma Desmond character as well. Like, I guess Lindsay Lohan meets Norma Desmond. And then the third is Stella's young assistant, Felicity, who is very beautiful and very mysterious and harbors designs of her own that threaten to upend everyone's plans. There is Stella's ex-husband is the one. He's a movie star who is producing and starring in the film. He and Stella have a very complicated past that comes to light during the book, and a hurricane arrives on the island, which throws all the women together, uniting them against a common enemy. But there are other things going on that may be more dangerous than the hurricane itself.
Okay. So there's some themes going on in your books. There's women, there's lots of women in these stories, and they're, who you can trust.
Who you can trust. This one also has, there's a little bit of a family element in it. There is, as there is in The Lion's Den. I guess we can talk about things because this is a book club, so everyone's read the book, so we don't have to worry about spoilers. Which is so
you can spoil it all you want.
So yeah, with John and Eric, and being Eric and Dylan's father, and the different ways in which Eric and Dylan reacted to that. There's also a father-son relationship and a mother-daughter relationship that is integral to the plot of The Siren. I think that those are things that interest me. And also, The Siren deals with fame in the way that The Lion's Den deals with money. So The Lion's Den is very much about money and the things that it does to people. And The Siren is very much about fame and the things that it does to people.
So in your experience, what has fame done? I mean, do you have any friends that became like super famous or through a show? You don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's really interesting because fame is so fickle. And once people have had a taste of it, if it is taken away from them, as it is from Stella, as much as she hated it when she had it, because the spotlight, she says in the book, and I'm going to misquote myself because I don't have it in front of me, but I say it much better when I think about it. But no, she says that the spotlight burns, but you miss it, but it's damn cold once it no longer shines on you. So it's very, when you're in the spotlight, it can be very difficult, but then it's also that double-edged sword of when they no longer want you, it hurts really badly. And she's gotten used to that, and she really wants it back. And that's something that I have seen with people. People, actors especially, are desperate for fame a lot of the time. And then once they get it, they realize that it is not all it's cracked up to be, because, you know, you're equally loved and hated. And when you're put on a pedestal, you have a lot further to fall. People feel that they have a right to weigh in on your romantic decisions. People will tell you you look fat, or that they think you're pregnant if you ate a big sandwich. You know, it's like all of these things, people constantly analyzing your life. But then there's also the positives of it, the walking the red carpet, the pop of the flash bulbs, everyone calling your name, feeling wanted, feeling loved. So those things can really have an effect on someone, and losing them can have an effect on someone as well.
I'm sorry, you're hearing my dog in the background playing with it never fails.
Is it Sheldon the Builder?
He's getting his little squeaky toy and he's wanting us to chase after him. Yeah, fame. When you mentioned Lindsay Lohan, I was like, whatever happened to Lindsay Lohan? I mean, she was so popular. Like,
I think I just saw her doing something recently.
A movie?
Like I don't know. She could have been on a game show. I don't know.
She had some show that was on Mykonos. It was like she owned a club, like a dance club on Mykonos, and they were doing a reality show about it. I saw one episode of it. It was pretty terrible.
Yeah. I think that might have been it, and I just kept on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
Yeah, as we say in the South, bless her heart. Do we have any other questions that has anyone posted?
Let me see. I just lost it.
Because I'm going to start just asking questions, you know, because you have book club questions that I found out about. So what was the one I wanted to ask you? Okay, you got to bring him. You got to take
I hear the toy.
That's what it is.
It's like a clown car. It's driving past.
It's like a saw. A buzz saw.
Oh.
Okay, the question. By the way, I'm sorry we didn't have the book club questions, and I did not have it in me to write book club questions in December. I'm so sorry that we didn't do that. That's usually my thing, is getting the questions. So thank you for sending them to us so that Pamela could post them.
Yeah, no problem. They were. I was surprised to find that they were not actually in the back of the hardcover. I'm not sure why. I know they're in the back of the ebook, but they're not in the back of the hardcover.
Yeah, well, that's what I read. So.
Oh, you read the ebook version? Yeah. Well, I read the ARC, and there weren't any.
But I didn't see them in the ebook. But I probably just didn't go far enough because somebody said there weren't questions. So
That's me. I'm sorry, Susan. Okay, so one of the things that I was, you know, from the very beginning of the book, I was like, don't go. I mean, I got that impression, you know, because it seems like, oh, you know, they're going to go on a yacht and it's a girls' trip and it'll be fun. But I just, like, from all the weird things, and I was like, would you go on this? Or would you just want to put this character in like a situation where it's like, you know, when you're shouting at the screen, don't go. Don't go.
Right.
Because at the end of the book, you know, when you know,
it all becomes clear.
It all becomes clear why she went ahead and went on the boat.
Yes.
So
it was very difficult walking. That was something that we really, you know, in editing, had to tiptoe around, because you don't want people from the very beginning of the book to put it down because they're like, oh, this is jumping the shark. She would never go on this boat. But at the same time, you don't want to lie to the reader, and you can't show your hand too early. So, you know, it's that delicate dance of trying to make it like, you know, she really needs this vacation. She'd already said yes, trying not, without lying to the reader, trying not to say too much. It's kind of, I guess it was really a lie of omission about why she's really there, until you find out in the end.
So you really did a good job of like sprinkling little clues, as you know, because I heard that she's locked in her room. I'm like, I'm out. Get me off the boat, because if they're gonna lock me in my room at night. So I'm like, what are they gonna do to her? They've locked her in her room. And
But she also, you have to remember, once she's there, the weirdness really starts, like she's already there. Like I mean, we don't know as the reader when we first start reading the book what Summer has done. We know that there's weirdness between them and Summer's kind of a bitch, but we don't know to the extent. We don't know she's a murderous bitch. Yeah. We just know she's a bitch. I think that, like, for me, it was trying to play up the, it's a yacht. It's the Mediterranean. She's flying on a private jet. It seems like it's going to be fun. Wendy is also her friend. And then once they get on the plane that things start to change. And then she's on the plane. And she says a number of times too, how little money she has. She's got her rent, which is due right when she gets back in her freezer. And other than that, she has, like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but like $700 or something. So while yes, she could call her dad and get him to buy her a ticket and stuff like that, I tried to make it as believable as possible that she would stay there until we can let the reader know why she's really there.
So are you a plotter or a pantser? During nap time, were you like plotting this out, or did you just write it?
With this book, I was more of a pantser in the beginning. And then in rewrites, it turned me into a plotter, and I am now a plotter, because I realized with the kind of plots that I write, they're complicated. And anytime that you're going to have surprises, you have to know. It's like an onion, right? Or Russian dolls, I guess, is a better analogy, because there in the center is your nugget. And in order to get to that, you have to know what's in each layer. You have to know where you're going. Otherwise you're going to get lost. And then you'll end up just going back and doing a ton of rewriting, which is what I did with the Lion's Den. So I did more extensive rewrites with the Lion's Den than I have with anything else that, I'm on my third book now, so I guess it's only 3 books. But with that one, I definitely did the most extensive rewrites because I was trying to fly by the seat of my pants.
Well, it made me go back twice. I think I had to go back to the beginning of the book. It's like you get to that certain point and you go, wait a minute, where did this come from? And then you go back. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, lots of tension and girl drama and all that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted, and that's what I hoped, is that people would turn back. And then once you turn back and you read it again, you think, oh, now I get it, And I had to make sure that was there, that those clues were there, so that when you went back to look for them, you would find them, but they wouldn't, jump out at you before they were supposed to.
Yeah. A couple of books have made me mad that it's like, oh, duh, why didn't I see that? Okay, yeah, now I remember that. It kind of struck me as weird. But this one, there was no shame in having to go back. It's like, oh boy, she took me on that ride. Did a good job. We do have another question, and I just lost it, Pamela. Do you see it?
Yeah, there's a couple. All right. Denise says, I kept trying to find a reason they were friends in the Lion's Den. I tried to like Belle, but she was too flaky in the beginning. For me, I was like, why would she like Summer? She just seems, like, I don't know.
Well, I think that for Belle, and this is the reason that I included the flashback from when they were 16. And I did in earlier drafts, I had more flashbacks building their relationship so that you could see why they were friends a little bit more. But in edits, that a lot of the backstory got cut in order to make room for the present day story. But for Belle, Summer's exciting, and Belle is, as an actor, she's a very empathetic person, and she's somebody. Her fatal flaw is that she sees the best in everyone, and that's something that she learned. That, over the course of the book, she goes from being someone who allowed Summer to step on her and not really being a person who stands up for herself, which is probably why she hasn't had more success as an actor. She's kind of she allows herself to be a doormat. you know, and over the course of the book, she learns to stand up for herself, to grow a backbone, and to kick Summer to the curb. But I think that, you know, and we all have different experiences with friendship. Some people are better at picking friends than others. And I think for people who are, you know, really good at picking friends, this, you know, you might look at Belle and be like, why on earth would you be friends with this person? But for other people who have a tendency to look for the best in people, to give people the benefit of the doubt, having known what Summer had gone through, seeing the way that she was raised, that her mother went from man to man to man, you know, some of the things that she knows, like about her, you know, ex stepfather raping her, about, you know, these kind of things. I think that she wants to give Summer the benefit of the doubt until she can no longer do so.
Yeah.
And granted, she was done with Summer before the book started, but of course we don't find that out until much later.
Yeah, Summer was horrible. She was a horrible person. But, you know, I used to do party bus tours in San Francisco and in Las Vegas. And so I've seen a lot of female groups, you know, together, and, you know, I've seen some Summers and kind of the ringleader of, and people will just follow because she's the, you know, the maybe has the most clout, or she's the prettiest one, and they kind of all just follow her. And
well, and I think that it's also you know, with friends, it's also a two-way street. Because she needs Belle, because Belle's very more stable than Summer is, and I think that Belle probably likes being needed, and in, you know, a sick way. Like, nobody's saying that, you know, none of my protagonists are ever going to be perfect. They're not purely good, and the antagonists aren't purely evil. You can understand, as evil as Summer is, you can understand why she became the way that she became. That does not in any way excuse her behavior, but you can see how she became that way. And I don't write characters that are perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't know anyone who is. So all of my characters have flaws.
so who would you cast in these roles? Like, who would you want to play Belle and Summer?
Well, currently the movie is being packaged, which I'm not supposed to talk about. So I don't want to say anything because I don't want to say people who are in it because I'm not supposed to. And I don't want to say people who aren't in it because I don't want the people who are in it to be mad. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great actresses. I will say that. And there have, you know, over the course of the time that we've been packaging this, like every time that an actress is brought up, there have been a couple actresses that I've been like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm very happy with who we have now. So, and hopefully that'll be announced soon.
But Lindsay Lohan is probably not one of them.
She's not in it. I can tell you that much.
Darn.
Bless her heart.
Exciting. So tell us about that a little bit. It's being packaged. So what
does that mean
for those that are sitting in the
packaging is what they do. We have a director attached. We have a big actor attached. We have a couple producers attached, and then of course I'm attached. So they build, like, a package is basically all, like, there's so many different roles in a film, from, you know, behind the scenes, from producers to directors to you know, all your actors, and then of course all your below the line people as well. When it's a show, they sometimes will bring on a showrunner who basically is the person who shepherds the show from you know, concept to completion. And it's a huge job. So yeah, a lot of times what they do to make it very appealing, especially when it's a higher budget project, which the Lion's Dens will be, is they'll get like a really big actor attached, a really big director attached, to let the buyers, whether that be like your studios like Paramount, Sony, people like that, or your networks like HBO, Netflix, who both make and broadcast their own content, to let them know, oh, to show them, hey, this is going to make money, because obviously it's a business. So the better the package, the more likely the buyers are to see how likely it is to make money. So that's, so agencies like to package things, and they like to package things with their own people so that the agency makes more money. In the film industry, it's all about money.
Yes. So are they packaging it as a film or as a series?
As a limited with the option of extending series. So, there is room in the Lion's Den for it to continue on as a series or to wrap up, depending on the buyer and what they are looking for.
And is the high profile actor, is it a woman or a man?
It's somebody in the role of Summer. Oh. It's so interesting. Like, we approached, all of the actresses who were approached wanted to play Summer. No matter what role, a lot of people were approached like, hey, with bigger actors, they oftentimes will approach them and say, do you want to play this role or this role, to allow them to, feel it out, because you want your actor to be excited about what they're doing. And everybody wanted to play Summer.
Is it Margot Robbie?
It's a fun role. It's not Margot Robbie, as much as I would love her. She would have been great, wouldn't she? She's fantastic. But yeah, it's interesting. But I think because it's such an evil role, but she also, she has to go through that. You have to see her go through some hard stuff too. I think that's why a lot of actresses really wanted to sink their teeth into it.
Cool.
Yeah. And Denise made a comment here that I thought was good. Summer might have been horrible, but she had a hard life with men. Her mother taught her she needed a rich man to take care of her, not how she could take care of herself. So right. Summer is such a sympathetic, evil person.
Yes. She's a product of her environment.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, it always goes back to the mother.
Yeah, and for her mother, she has become exactly what her mother wanted to be, which I think Belle says at some point makes Rhonda a terribly successful mother.
Terribly successful.
I'm terribly successful. When people, women are handed because they're beautiful. I've seen how that, women who are extremely good looking, my stepsister is so beautiful, and just doors open for women that are extremely attractive. They get,
and yachts.
They get yachts. They get old, they marry older men who have money, or
yeah. Okay, talk about The Siren. Now that comes out in May. And what about that for movie, series, whatever?
The Siren, I believe I'm going to adapt myself as a film. I'm in the early stages. I may work with another writer on it. I have a girlfriend who's a screenwriter, and she's reading it right now to see if she thinks it's something that we could adapt together, or it's something I should do on my own. But yeah, I think I'm not married to it yet, but I'm playing with the idea of adapting it myself.
Okay. Would you ever be in your film, TV?
I mean, I would do a walk-on role, I would like a cameo, one scene type of thing, but I don't have any desire to see my face 10 feet tall anymore.
Oh, I think it'd be great. You're beautiful.
I'm good behind the scenes these days. I really, honestly, I've done so many different jobs in the arts, and all of them expressing, in different ways. And I really love writing. I really love writing novels specifically. I feel like, I can sit there in my chair or on my bed all day long and just never get up. I mean, it's been the thing that's gotten me through this whole pandemic, is being able to escape in my head to what I'm writing.
Now, have you always been like that?
What do you mean?
Have you always been the writer that could just sit down and pound it out?
Well, before I started off in front of the camera, I did start off as an actress. So, you know, I've always been attracted to storytelling. And that has presented in different ways at different times in my life. So, you know, when I was younger, it was about embodying characters to tell their story. As I also was a songwriter and singer at one point. As I got older, I got a lot more interested in the actual storytelling aspect from the writer's point of view. So that's when I started. And because I was in film, I was drawn to films. And my husband and I actually started a small production company, and we wrote and directed and produced like 3 independent films, tons of web series and short films and all that kind of thing. Some of them we just wrote or directed, other things we acted in as well. But it was the writing process of that really made me, I'd always wanted to write a book. It was one of those things is you need a lot of time to do, and I never had the time because I was trying to do other things. But once I actually sat down to do it, I was like, wow, I like this best. You know, it was like after all this time of doing all these other things, which I had enjoyed, you know, when I was doing them as well. But it was the thing that I think came most naturally to me. And it's the thing that makes me happiest. I mean, my husband will be the first to tell you that, like, when I'm writing and I've had my time to write that day, and like, I'm much nicer and happier. I have more patience with my children. But when I'm not getting to write, you know, when I'm prevented by, you know, not having a nanny or whatever it may be, I start getting like very like, it's like all this like, all these stories are like bottled up inside of me, and I can't like, and I feel like my characters, like I've just left them hanging, you know, they're just out, they can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. They can't evolve, you know.
They're quarantined.
They're quarantined. Exactly.
In your mind.
Yes.
So, well, as a writer, you have to have like experiences to draw on. So you became a writer when you were supposed to become a writer, because you had to have all these other experiences that will, you know.
It's very true. And I've been able to use those experiences, you know, my experiences with being friends with terrible people came into the Lion's Den. My experiences with the film industry came into the Siren. My 3rd book that I'm writing right now is about a cult. I have not joined a cult. That one was more imagined, but also experiences, you know, with religion and with spirituality. So I think that like all of your experiences that you have in your life come into your writing. And I'm very grateful for all the different jobs that I have held and all the mistakes that I've made.
I love research. I started as a nonfiction writer, so I really love to do research. So are you going to do any research on cults? Because you're going to be writing?
I've been deep. I've been deep in the research on the cults. I'm in revisions on my 3rd book now. So the research part of that is over, but I watched like every documentary that you could find. I read books. I did a lot of, my internet search history is pretty crazy. You know, I talked to people, you know, who had been I couldn't find anybody who'd been like, I don't know anybody who'd been like in a real cult, like a real dangerous cult, but like there are certain culty, you know, self-development, self-help groups that I talked to people who had done. I talked to people who had done, like there's culty yoga classes and spin classes and stuff like that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And then there's like a plethora of documentaries and series on cults out there, and they are fascinating. And I took like meticulous notes, which was so helpful, because when creating the cult, you go back to those notes and you're like, okay, these are the elements that I need to make sure that I have. I'll pull this from this cult. Like, oh, the Children of God did this. Oh, Nexium did this. Oh, the Scientologists do this, you know, and, you know, I'm constantly like plucking things from different cults and making them work for my cult.
What is the name of your cult? Just
the Mandala. It's the Mandala. And they live at Xanadu.
I love Xanadu. I almost got my family to watch that movie before it left one of the channels that we subscribe to, and they're like, "No, we're not going to watch that."
Oh no, we
Roller
can't
skating fantasy.
couldn't be together, but
Okay, so when does the cult book come out?
That'll be next year.
wow.
So did you get like a 3-book deal, or you just?
No, I got a 2-book deal. Yeah, I did. I initially signed a 2-book deal, and so that's how I started. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. So, any more questions from our people?
No, lots of people excited to see the movie. That's
Yeah, see, I got kicked out. I don't know what happened, but I got
your
kicked
sound
out.
is better now. So yay.
Oh, well,
I
yay,
can hear you.
okay. Do you have any more questions, Susan?
Did I have? We didn't really touch on the ones from the book club that much. Girls trips was one of the themes. Taking girls trips. Have you ever taken a girls trip from hell, Katherine?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I wrote a book about it. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I took a girls trip that was supposed to be a girls trip, and it was not a girls trip. The John character came along.
Yeah.
When I was younger, and and that was not fun. These days, I have never since I've been older, I've been more careful about choosing my friends. And I now when I go on trips, they're fun.
I think we get that as we get older. We ask more questions and
we don't see we take off our rose-colored glasses.
And we're, as you get older, wait till you're 50 or 60, and then it's like, go ahead, knock it off. Yeah, you just try. I'm going to tell you what I think about this. And there's no way. If I was 20, I might have gotten on the yacht. 30, I don't know. 40, hell no. No way. You'd make me stand outside in the heat, and I'm not getting.
Yeah, I'm done.
And be like, no.
I'm out.
I mean, I look back at some of the things that I did in my 20s, and I'm like, really? Like, I want to warn my children not to be as dumb as I was, like things just for the sake of like having a good time, or dumb things like when I used to work in clubs in New York, like as a bottle service waitress, and I would walk home at 4 a.m. with like wads of cash stuck in my purse just because it was a nice night out, No, I will warn my children.
My husband has always said that birth to age about 20, 21 is a constant attempt to commit suicide, but you don't know that's really what you're doing.
It's true.
And our kids, there were moments, yeah.
When I had my first child, my dad said, it gets a lot easier after they turn 30.
He's not wrong.
We all thought we knew at 19, like we knew.
Oh, I thought I was so smart. And when I was 21, I was dating a guy who was 31, and I thought that I was just really mature. Turned out he was just really immature. After all this time.
I was dating at 19. I was dating a 30-year-old. We dated for 2 years. And I was his trophy girlfriend that he took me on a trip to Hawaii and to like show me off to all his like financial consultant friends. And it was gross. And I look back and I'm like, why didn't anyone stop me? Like, yeah, I don't think you should be dating this guy because it just,
you didn't have the friend finding quality that you get as you age.
No. Well, I had good friend quality finding, but men finding quality was my problem. I'd be like, I just didn't have a very good picker. I was just like,
That's what
we all have our things, don't we? You know, I mean, it's like we can be great with friends, but bad with men, or we can be great with men, but bad with money. You know, it's like we all have our things.
And then there are some that are triple strikeouts. Yeah. Can't handle money, can't find men, and can't find friends. Yeah.
But you know, I think we get better at all of them as we get older.
Yes.
True.
Well, if you survive.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Knock on wood. We've made it thus far.
Just over here trying to learn from my mistakes.
Yeah. And that's all we can do.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Any more questions here?
So I think we're gonna close out our meeting, but I wanted to give Susan the opportunity, since I started this book club in March of 2020, and I picked the first book because I was just like, well, we're starting a book club, I'll pick the first book out of the 2020 debut group. And then, of course, we did my book in November, and I've never given you the opportunity to pick a book for the club. So for our February book, which we'll be picking on Friday, I want you to pick the book and announce it on Friday, if you would do that.
Okay, so I'm going to pick the book and tell you on Friday?
Well, you'll post it in the group, which book out of our, the 2020 debuts, which one you want us to read.
Ooh, the old English teacher in me is excited. Yeah, I'm retired. I miss picking books and making people read them, but guiding people to read them and find them interesting. I'm honored. Thank you.
Sure. And then we've got to do a giveaway, because these are for the people who took a selfie with the lion.
Ride on the yacht. We get to go out to California and visit Catherine, and we're going to yacht.
Yeah, you're going to stay at Catherine's house.
You'll be disappointed when you find out I don't have a yacht.
She has
not even a canoe.
A rubber ducky that she puts in the bathtub. Okay, so our first winner is Jennifer Brewer. She's the first winner. Okay. And our second winner.
Oh, and while she's drawing there, you do have a website. We didn't.
Me, yes.
You have a website, Catherine, and I don't want to forget to direct people to that, because someone said they found your website and we forgot to say that you have one.
My website is katherinesaintjohn.com. And one thing that is exciting is that, so my paperback is coming out on February the 9th, the paperback for The Lion's Den. And in the paperback for The Lion's Den, there is an epilogue. The feedback that I got the most from readers, like the one negative thing that people had to say, was that it ended too fast and they wanted to know what happened to Belle and Eric. So I listened, and I put an epilogue in the paperback, and it'll be out on February 9th. And the epilogue will be available for download on my website, katherinesaintjohn.com. So anybody who wants to read the epilogue can.
Okay, yay. So we can follow you there and see who gets cast as Summer.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and then
all that on social as well.
Who's the next one?
Rachel Kinsler Black.
Oh, yay. And she was here tonight. Yay. She's a tall woman too, because she said go tall women. Congratulations.
Okay, so I will send you their addresses. So Rachel and Jennifer, private message me your mailing address, and then your publisher will, I guess, mail it out.
Yes, wonderful. And it's going to be an arc of my new book, The Siren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And I missed it when, well, they haven't sold it, but do they have an idea of like Lion's Den when that would be like production?
You never know with even with the series.
Yeah.
When it'll be out. You never know with Hollywood. You just don't know. I mean, it could be fast and they could adapt and shoot it this summer, and which would mean it would be out, next year, or it might take longer and it would be in development for a year or 2 years. So, I mean, I'd like it to go as fast as possible, obviously. And I know that my director feels the same way. but with, especially when you get big actors attached, you're working with their schedules. And right now we're also working with COVID. So, you know, fingers crossed for maybe next year, but who knows?
Yeah, you don't want any Tom Cruise kind of things going on with the mask, you know, that he went berserk on his set.
Yeah. I mean, things are shooting, but you know, it's taking twice as long and it's costing twice as much to shoot anything. So
I'm surprised they're doing anything at all.
They're pretty serious about it. I have a good friend who is an AD on like big films, and he's been working throughout COVID, and like his plan to keep people safe and like the way that people pod, you know, the different departments pod and the requirements and everything are really serious. So I know that, you know, they're doing it as safely as humanly possible, but I know it's not easy.
No. Imagine.
Yeah, because I'm imagining they have to take a lot of tests, and they're, you know
the shooting hours are truncated is one of the things, which makes it very difficult to shoot as much, you know, which is why shoots are taking longer. A lot of different you know, adaptations have been made.
So how is it in California with COVID?
Terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's
California is in the press a lot because of the numbers.
I don't go anywhere. We really don't leave the house. I mean, we go to the park or whatever, you know, I'll take my dog to the dog park. I go like hiking in my neighborhood, or, you know, to the Angeles Forest to go hiking, to get out of the house. But I don't right now I'm not going in stores. I do pickups, you know, and just open my lift gate, you know, to put the groceries in there. We're just trying to stay safe until we can get the vaccine and get on with it. I was thrilled to find out my parents are getting the vaccine next week. I found that out today. So I was like, thank God.
I got it. I got mine.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited. That's, and it's funny that we're excited over a vaccine, and I'm happy for your parents.
Well, it's like, you know, it's a little bit of freedom, you know, we've been locked down for so long, and I think that part of the problem with California has been like we never really opened back up. I mean, outdoor restaurants were open at one point, but I think that the COVID fatigue, I think, really got to people, and they just didn't listen. And I think, you know, between Thanksgiving and the Christmas holidays, people just, you know, it's just exploded. So I'm just, you know, praying that we get through these next couple of weeks with as little loss of life as humanly possible and make it through to the other side, you know, just vaccinating as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fingers crossed.
I'm hoping that by the end of this year, at least, everyone will be vaccinated, and, you know,
or have the antibodies that will last.
Mm-hmm.
People are sick right now with it. I hope that the antibodies last long enough for the rest of us to get our full vaccines.
Right. There's just so little so much that we don't know about this virus, but it's just been incredible, the advances in science over this year. I mean, that's one thing to be thankful for, the fact that we're rolling out so many vaccines so quickly, and, you know, the mRNA adaptations, you know, I don't really understand all of the stuff, but I understand it's important, and it's important for science, and it'll allow us to do more big things in the medical field.
I think we've all learned this year how much we don't know about science, and I think that's been fascinating. Well, let me take that back. Some of us in this country have learned how much we don't know about science. Others
think there's nothing to know about science because it's not real.
It's not real.
Not real.
Nope. Science is real. Texas. I love science.
Texas.
Science, bitches, as Jesse Pinkman would say.
Damn.
Me and my potty mouth. I'm sorry. All right. Thank you so much, Katherine, for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Amy and Nancy. Thank you, QBC members, for tuning in tonight. Our next book, well, we're reading After Elias by Eddie Budell-Tan, and we're going to be talking to him on February the 10th. So stop back on Friday to find out what Susan has picked. or February.
Yeah.
And she'll take bribes, you know. You want to send her some cash. She'll pick your book. I'm kidding. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.